At the recent Baltimore Teacher Network Board of Directors meeting, the Connections students talked about their trip to Ghana, West Africa.
My trip experience, it was kind of different. When I first heard about the trip, my mom was kind of scared because it was the first time I was traveling without her. Because we've been traveling for so long together. I'm her firstborn child, her oldest, so she was scared. But I was ready. Me personally, I was ready for the experience. I was excited to travel by myself, to experience new things, to meet new people, to try a different culture. The first thing I realized when I got over there, I think it was, I noticed how everyone was so happy, but they didn't have a lot how we had here. They didn't really need a bunch of fancy clothes like Louis Vuitton, Gucci, or Balenciaga. Everyone had on slides. They had on nice little garments that kept them nice and cool when it was hot outside. And that was one of the first things I noticed, that they didn't need a lot to make them happy. What they needed to make them happy was each other and their community. I noticed here that our communities here are kind of split, so we can model ourselves after them. That would be amazing. They stuck together. Everyone was so friendly and nice to each other. The way everyone communicated with each other was amazing. One of my favorite moments is when I got to play soccer with like the village kids. It was really fun. I enjoyed the kids so much. The kids were adorable. They were so fun. Like, it was the best thing ever. But yeah, that's my personal trip experience. I really enjoyed it, and I think everyone should go. Hello, my name is Timothy Jackson. First, I want to thank Dr. Braun and Mr. Elijah for allowing me to come on this trip, and I thank the Battle Connections for, keeping me safe. So when I first heard I was going on this trip, I did not want to go at all. I hated the thought of it because, I just didn't want to leave home. But then, as the time was getting closer, I started to warm up to it. That's when I accepted the fact. But then, once we got to Morocco and I tried the KFC for the first time, I wanted to go right back home. So ever since then, I was counting down. So, yeah. One thing that stuck out to me the most was when we had went to the ancestral river. I feel like it was just cool stepping into the water, and because most people in the world, they wouldn't get that experience, and I'm like, wow, I'm the one, I wouldn't say I'm the chosen one, but I'm getting this experience. So I feel like it just made me happy. But then also another thing is when we were in Kumasi feeding the kids, this one little kid had asked me if I was coming back, which kind of made me sad because the whole time we was catching a flight the next day. But yeah, now that the trip is over, I kind of wish I can go back because it was pretty cool up there. It's a different vibe, and yeah, so yeah.
Good evening. My name is Timber. First of all, to the organizers of the trip, everybody who also allowed me to go, I appreciate it. I'm a staff member at Connections. I am a drum instructor. So for me, going on this trip is right in the line of my work. For me to just go study the music, study the culture. And so when I realized I was going, I really had it in my mind that I'm going to be doing music the whole time. I'm going to be studying the language and trying to use this as a tool to bring back to the classroom. And it was music intensive, but not in a very linear classroom perspective. So I had to humble myself and calm my expectation as to what I wanted to do and just allow the trip to be, just allow things to happen. So I found myself being a quiet leader on the trip. If you look at all the young people that have spoken so far, you clearly can see that, you know, the term is from the mouths of babies. They truly took care of each other. They truly bonded. They truly looked out for one another. And it was a beautiful experience just to watch from behind and making sure that everybody was safe. Again, seeing Trevante, a drum student of mine, kind of just jumping right in, getting right in the mix, accepting the challenge, accepting the culture. It was beautiful. It was beautiful to see. Watching all of you guys, Izzy, Isaiah, you're quiet, but you're calm. You're a part of the equation. You're a calm, essential part of the equation. And so even when you're quiet, your calmness and your voice, your quiet voice, it really matters. One of my favorite experiences or parts of the trip was when we went to Kumasi. We were in Kumasi and we went to the Akon. Yes. And so we went to the Akon, which is kind of a, can you give me a?
It's like, think of the Pentecostal church when it's time to have a, what do you call it? A praise break.
Right. So
that's what that is.
They welcomed all of us into the space. They all provided chairs for us. The drums during that moment were crazy. It was like we had one tribe of drummers on this side, then we had a whole nother tribe of drummers on this side. And the rhythms that they were playing, I don't even know if they were correlating at the same time or not. They were like two separate things, but the energy in that moment was very high. It was very special, very spiritual moment. And believe it or not, everybody that was on that trip ended up getting inside of that circle and they ended up dancing. I saw Isaiah dance. I saw Baba Abdul dance. I saw everybody dance. You know, everybody was.
Mr. Etheridge dance.
Yes, Mr. Etheridge dance. You know, and me, even myself, even as a drummer.
Don't worry. We got the video.
Yes. And myself, even as a drummer, I always found myself hiding behind the drum. That's kind of my comfort zone. But sometimes, you know, when you go into different cultures, you realize that you have to participate. It's just custom. It's just a part of the culture. So we all got to be participants and observers of what was going on. And just to see just to see everybody's light in that moment, it was a beautiful moment. Another experience that really stuck out to me, he's not here right now. We had another student named Dayon. Like day 2, he was like, man, I'm about to buy my flight back home. I'm ready to go back home. You know, like he's like, how do I look up plane tickets, Mr. E? How do I look up plane tickets, Bobby Tim? What's the prices on them, right? And so towards the end, we took a domestic flight to a village, a northern village called Wa, and that was where we got to see some magical things in that village. And once we got there, Dayon just had a look on his face like, oh no, I'm staying. Like I'm with my people, you know. And, he just had this look on his face like, you know, he didn't want to leave. And he's also, I don't want to speak too much on him, but you know, he's a dirt bike rider. And so or motorcycle rider. So the whole time while he was there, he was just anxious to try to get an experience to ride on the bike, because in that culture, a lot of people ride on bikes. And I was just hoping that he would get that experience. And so towards the end, you know, when we were riding horses, we were in that town of Wa, he finally got that opportunity to ride. And it for me, as a teacher, as an educator, just watching from the back, it just felt so good to watch all of these students just connect with home, just connect with Ghana in a completely different way. It really felt good to observe that. So my last thing I wanted to say on the topic of brotherhood, I've seen Brother Abdul, but I didn't know him so much. Again, when you take a trip, you really get to know people in a different way. Mr. E and some of our curators, we had a curator there named Nana and what's his name? And Mugisha. And so just as for the brotherhood community, it was just really good just for us to bond and connect and talk and just talk about things, other things that are going on in the world, because like all of the children are saying, the world is way bigger than Baltimore, where we live. So there was one more point I wanted to say. I'm sorry I'm taking long, but again, this is a trip that should happen again. It's necessary. As you see, these kids had to adapt to so many things. They had to adapt to so many customs. They had to learn so much. Just the idea of getting a passport. And my last point, and I'm done, I would like to say that one of the main things is when you travel, we must learn patience, right? So we would go to restaurants and we would sit at, restaurants like this, tables all across from each other. And you can imagine we're trying to order our food. We have a little bit of language differences between the waiters and us.
And we're a party of 23.
And we're a party of 23. And so there were times where, we were all irritated. I'm sure my food got messed up. Everybody's food. Everybody had a turn. Everybody had a turn. Everybody's food got messed up at one point. But at the end of the day, we all came back strong. We all came back fed spiritually. We all came back fed.
Now they've taken this pilgrimage to Africa, and they've seen what people don't have. Like Briar said, I'll never complain again.
Amen.
Right? So it has definitely already begun to transform lives, and the importance is just vast. I just can't even put it into words. We just have to figure out a way to do this every year. This can't be the last time, because the effect is immense. The things that they're going back and telling their families, the things that they're going back and telling their friends. I see it in their work when they're doing projects, and they're doing projects on Oya. They're doing projects on the things that they learned in Africa. It's being embedded into their schoolwork. And that's culturally responsive teaching, which is supposed to be the bedrock of what we're doing as educators. So when we take them to these places and they learn about themselves, we begin to see it in their work. They walk it, they live it, they breathe it, and they pass it on. And in a time when that is being threatened to be being taken away from us, it is so important for this to happen now, because there are powers that be that want to wipe it out. So it's our responsibility to make sure that these things continue to happen for the generations coming behind us, because we plant the seed in them, and they spread the word. We can go back to Mansa Musa. We can go back to that time where they embedded the cultural and the culture and history into the dance and the drum. It is the reason why there was rites of passage, and rites of passage was able to survive the Middle Passage, and it still happens to this day in pockets, right? But we want this to be on purpose. We need the survival of our history and culture to survive, and we want to be intentional about it. And this is the way that happens. There are but so many things that I can teach India. There are but so many things that I can teach Briar. But as soon as we step onto the soil and they see it, they're like, oh, this is what she was talking about, but she couldn't put it into words. All right? Nayana and that little girl over there, what's her name? Arian, going into the circle and having to not teach not having them to have to improvise and watch this spirit dancer, watch his feet pick up a movement and get on the right, on one accord with him. That's right. With the timing, not what I taught in the classroom, but from your improvisation. Those are higher order thinking skills. That's critical thinking. That's you being intentional. That's you studying. That is what that's what art is about. That's what art is about. What's his name over there? Travante. Not being afraid to sit and play for a chief. He just got up.
Going right backstage. Snuck in backstage.
And had to improvise. It wasn't a rhythm that Baba Timba taught him, but because he was given the tools in order to navigate. he was able to step in fearless and be able to blend in and drum and play for a chief. That stuff is big.
That is big.
So that's the stuff that we're teaching our students, but we need to see it in action. This is how we really groom and grow students. This is how we send students out into the world.
Yes.
Okay, so that's my piece.
If your heart hasn't been filled by that video and what you've heard already by these young people, you're in the wrong line of work. You're in the wrong community, and you're definitely in the wrong school. Just want to put that out there. Bridging realities, advancing visions every day. Being brave. That's what we saw our young people do. And I've heard a bunch of thank yous to the elders for showing that you guys went. But we have to thank you.
That's right.
This trip doesn't work if I, Mama D, Mr. Brooks, Brother Elijah, Baba Timber, if we go, that video don't hit. That video don't mean nothing. It's yours. It's yours with the intentions, whether intentionally or subconsciously, that I'm going back. You going back, Tim. I know you gonna go back. You saw your brother over there. Right? You found your brother over there, you know, last day over there. Tim wanted to go home the whole time, found his brother and made plans to go back. Right?
You sure that's Tim?
Right? Not only Tim, but Sanaja. Sanaja saw her sister over there. Right? Sammy. Well, they sisters, right? Right? So,
Afronita.
The familiarity
Is a superstar.
that they felt that they didn't think that they was going to feel 3 months ago. Some students had to be pushed, pulled, and dragged across the finish line. But to see those same students converse with those same students, not a week after they got back. I'm talking about Texas, 45 minutes back on the beltway up. Oh my God, thank God you took me. Thank God you made sure I got my passport. I wasn't going to take malaria pills. I wasn't going to get no vaccinations. Thank you for making it happen. Thank you for holding me accountable. Somebody said, I think Mama said, this isn't a once in a lifetime. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. To have these students be able to travel across the world together amongst their peers, that's a once in a lifetime. Thank you all for assuring to facilitate that. Now understand what you facilitated. They were already leaders by getting on that plane. But experienced the cultural transformation that they said. This is stuff that they journaled. Nobody forced them, nobody put nothing. These are things that they penned with their own pens. Or iPhones and Galaxies. Right? This coming out their mouth. That they gonna remember 10, 15 years later. But not just that. Right? Because we talked about the dividends it's paying now. These are the same students that are gonna show that the 6th graders are brave enough to have their passports ready to go.
That's right.
They already asking. Where can we go?
Right? These are the same students, thank you, Mr. Brooks, that are gonna have other students. We just sat with 6 other schools. Mr. Brooks came. I appreciate it. It's my brother. To tell them about the experience your school did on the inaugural for Baltimore City. We already know the narrative about Baltimore City. I'm from North New Jersey, same as Baltimore City. The only reason I bring it up is because it's only certain cities, and I took this narrative across the pond with us. There's only a few. We can count them. North Baltimore, Detroit, Oakland, Brooklyn, with a certain narrative that a lot of our young people don't want to let it go. They want to carry that. But it's when you can show them their legacy.
That's right.
That's bigger than that. That's bigger than West Baltimore.
That's right.
That's bigger than the south side of Chicago. That's bigger than East Brooklyn. That they can put all of that down and come back and be a real leader in your walls. That those 9 months a year not going to change. And it's only leaders like a Izzy, like a Brian, Isaiah with his silent leadership, that's going to be able to change those students when we can. And I'm talking about they did it on the trip too, because there's conversations that they had that we wasn't around for. That they got each other prepared for the next day. That they talked each other through the feelings in those dungeons. We can't do that. I appreciate the partnership. Y'all know I'm going to show up. If y'all show up, I'm going to show up. That's our promise from Keys Development. I thank you again for your partnership. I thank Kim, not for facilitating a visit, but helping us live in Africa. We lived in Africa for 2 weeks. That was different. To be able to live and be part of a King's Festival. There were locals that were looking in the window. I noticed it. There were locals that looked in this window that weren't able to participate in festivities that we partook in. That's a special type of curation, a once in a lifetime. So thank you again, starting with our young people, the partnership. We promise to show up if you all show up for yourselves, starting with our young people. Ashe.
Sister Kim, will you close us out on this portion? And I think I've taken up all of the board meeting time.
Yes, you have, sir.
Please clap again for all of our students and instructors. Again, my name is Kim Poole, and on behalf of the Teaching Artists Institute, we work in 9 countries, 7 of which are on the continent of Africa. Our TAI Studies and Cultural Exchange Program, and especially the A is for Africa team. I want you to know that our curators are not here in the room, but they are here with you in spirit. The source of our uniqueness as an organization is our curators. They are local, they're grassroots, and they're grass tops. We're not hiring tourism help. We're working with the infrastructure of the countries that we go into. We're working with those that are in leadership of their communities, those that are part of the chieftaincy, those that are on the ballot for president, artists that are on main stages across West Africa, East Africa. These are the people that show you into the infrastructure of the countries. And so I want each one of you to come one by one, because they are the ones that curated these beads for you, these handmade Krubo beads, out of recycled glass. They want you to carry this legacy with you because your work begins now. The trip was just a part of your preparation to be cultural ambassadors. So now is the time for you to not say that was something I did, it was great. It was great, but you are laying a foundation for your life and greatness. And so I want to start with the graduating seniors, because I was so proud to hear your speeches for the graduating class. Come, please come. Yes, sis, you're going far. One of our midwives in nursing school. Okay. Yes, come on, bring your sister. Show her how it's done. Yes, you and those eyes. Remember these beads wherever you go around the world. I know that you're going to get stamps in those passports. Come on, young people. Come and get these beads. This is for you. Mugisha is here. Nana is here. Chief Nana. Ruth is here from the Upper East in Sandema. Who else? Dallas, yes. They ask of you by name. You've created lifelong relationships, and we want you to know that. Diana, yes, you too are a princess. Ruth asks about you often. I'm sorry, son. I don't think I know you, but we're going to give you a brochure. We have your name. We have a Yes. You take one of these because I know y'all are family. And with Mama India, yes, you take this for all the students that never got a chance to go.
They are.
son? Yes. Have you got your son? Okay, now we have our instructors. Because a lot of people think it's just about the student, but when you teach a student, you teach their entire family. It's important that you understand that you teach the entire family. Abdul, please come. Thank you, Baba, for being there with your son. We have 2 more instructors. Hey, because Mama D is in charge. Listen, y'all just don't know. Dayon is not Mr. E. Oh, Mr. E. Mr. E. Yeah. Thank you, Baba E. And one for Dayon. He's not here, but who's going to hold it for him?
The vice president.
I see what's up there.
Thank you again for giving our organization an opportunity to curate this experience for you guys. Again, we only do curations in regions where we work 365. We're working on this side of the pond. We're working on that side of the pond in real time. We're not doing tourism. We're doing cultural immersion, cross-cultural exchange, and we're teaching lifelong lessons. Again, thank you for the opportunity. Last but not least, we're going to make sure that you get one, Mr. Etheridge, because he's the one that trusted our company. Because, you know, they don't like to see black faces doing work like this, especially under the Trump administration. Let's just be honest. So we need leadership with a visionary mind that makes sure so we have something special for you. They got it right there. Absolutely. There you go. Yes. And we have a special treat for all of you. Because again, it takes a village. And because you all are in this room, it means that you had to say yes when you could have said no. And so we want you, on your way out the door, to take a little baggie and take some of the baobab. Everybody say baobab. Baobab. Yes, that's the oldest tree on earth with roots that grow so deep that they find nourishment in any environment, any condition. It still lasts. The fruit grows dried inside of the pod. And we want you to see the model of the baobab tree before you leave. We want you to take a bag and take some of that home with you to your family and taste the sweetest fruit. Thank you again.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the board if they will indulge and give us an extra 10 minutes on the schedule. But thank you all for sharing your testimonies. Was very powerful. I will just add 1 minute of the testimony. You know, I get choked up a little bit because this was not a trip. You know, I go on trips every year. I go on a cruise. You all have gone on trips. This was not a trip. This was a trip, but it wasn't a trip. This was really a coming home. When we landed in Accra, we went to Morocco first. But I really felt it when we landed in Accra, Ghana. Everyone said, "Welcome home." And there's something that I never knew about. I have known about the slave trade and what has happened to us as African Americans. I've been taught it for years by my parents. I've been taught it by my minister, by the mosque. I grew up in the Nation of Islam. They have instilled what has happened to us as a people. But I will tell you, it was not until I stepped foot into the dungeon. And I'm not a spooky person. I don't go into all that kind of stuff. I will tell you, and I'm your brother, I'm telling you the truth. The spirit that existed in the dungeons, I felt. I felt the presence of those who were there. This was real. And for us to experience that is something that you have to experience. And we have always looked at the slave trade from our perspective as being in America. And it wasn't until we went there and I heard from the Africans there who said, "Y'all don't know our pain, because our mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters were taken from us, and we don't know where they went." So I never even gave that any consideration, that they are yearning and longing to know who and where their family went. And when they saw us, It was like welcome home. It was a peace that came over me that I've never experienced. And it was spiritual. And so when I say this wasn't a trip, this was actually coming home. It was so important. So important. And we saw, and I thank God that we were able to see the development of cities just like we have here in America. But we saw poverty like nothing you have ever imagined. We think we know poverty. You don't know nothing about it. You don't know nothing about it. Brother Abdul had a bag of cookies, crackers, that he was tossing it to one of the kids, and it fell out of their hand and it fell on the ground. And about 50 kids ran to get the crumbs off the ground. They were not begging for money. They would come to you and they would rub their stomach and they would go like this. They were hungry. And I insisted that we deviate the schedule, that we go back and feed these people. And somebody said, okay, one of the curators, they smiled at me and they said, yes, we can do that, but you're only feeding them for a day. Said, for that one person that we feed, for that one day, they will remember that. That will make a difference to them. And so this was a very moving experience, and I pray that we continue to do it. I want to thank the board for trusting and investing. $90,000 ain't a little bit of money.
That's right.
But I thank you. I thank you for allowing us to do this. So thank you very much for that. Okay?